When you're in the middle of a family court case, things can feel chaotic, right? Well, there's this tool called a temporary order that's supposed to create stability. But here's the thing. What happens when that exact same tool gets used as a weapon? That's what we're going to unpack today.
It's a really powerful question, and honestly, it's a little bit scary. How can something that's designed to bring calm and predictability get twisted into a tool to gain an unfair advantage in a legal battle where the stakes are incredibly high?
Okay, so you're going to hear this fancy legal term, pendente lite. All that means is while the case is pending. Seriously, that's it. You can just think of it as the court hitting a giant pause button. Its entire job is to create a stable, predictable routine for the kids, for housing, and for finances until everyone can get to a final decision.
So let's start with the dark side, because you have to understand it. In the wrong hands, this simple tool for stability can become a bludgeon. It can be used to gain an early advantage that all too often becomes permanent. The first tactic we see is the ambush, and it often looks like this. An emergency motion gets filed late on a Friday, right before a 3-day weekend. Why? Well, the goal is to give the other parent and the court the absolute minimum amount of time to respond, and the hope is that a judge, worried about risk, will just err on the side of caution and grant the order based on a totally one-sided and, frankly, often misleading story.
Now, this is what's so fascinating. Look at how these filings are actually written. They almost always rely on these vague, super emotionally charged accusations that have no dates, no times, no context. Just compare the two statements here. The one on the left, screamed at the children and threw things, sounds absolutely terrifying, right? But the one on the right, the specific one, gives a judge the context they need to actually figure out what happened.
All right, this next tactic is even more, well, insidious, because it uses the court system's own biggest weakness, how slow it is against itself. It's called the weaponized status quo, and it's basically how a temporary win gets laundered into a long-term victory.
And this shows you exactly how it plays out. So parent A gets an early win, a temporary order for most of the parenting time. Then they drag things out. Continuances, legal fights over documents, anything to slow the case down. By the time you get to the final hearing, maybe a year later, parent A's lawyer can stand up and say, Your Honor, look, the child has been in this routine for over a year now. They're doing great. To change it now would be disruptive. And just like that, the temporary order becomes the new reality.
And of course, there's the financial chokehold. By cutting off access to money, canceling credit cards, moving funds, stopping mortgage payments, a higher-earning parent can make it almost impossible for the other person to fight back. How do you pay your lawyer, or even just put gas in your car to get to court when you're cut off? It's a strategy designed to wear you down until you just give up.
Okay, but that is only half the story. It's the scary half. Now let's flip the coin and look at why these orders are so incredibly important in the first place. How they work as an essential band-aid, creating safety when it is needed most.
You know, in cases where there's been documented violence or serious harassment, a temporary order isn't a tactic, it's a lifeline. It can immediately separate the adults. It can move parenting exchanges to a safe spot, like a police station. It can force all communication to be in writing. It just brings the temperature way, way down, so the legal process can actually happen without anyone being afraid. And it's so critical for a child's stability. I mean, when parents are fighting so much they can't even agree on the basics, the kid is the one who suffers. They're missing school, they're feeling anxious, they have no idea what's happening next. A temporary order just cuts right through that chaos. It sets a predictable schedule and clear rules, so the child finally knows what to expect.
And just like finances can be used as a bludgeon, these orders can be used as a shield. They can prevent financial devastation and make sure a parent can actually afford to participate in their own case.
Think about it. Without a temporary support order, this is how much a financially dependent spouse might have to live on while the case drags on. 0. How can you hire a lawyer, pay rent, or feed your kids with nothing? You can't. A temporary support order simply levels the playing field just enough so the process can be fair.
So, knowing these two sides, the band-aid and the bludgeon, how do you actually navigate all this? Well, this part is a user's guide. It's all about shifting your mindset away from conflict and towards creating real stability. The single biggest mental shift you can make is to adopt what I call a triage mindset, okay? This is not the final battle. It's about getting through the next few months. So forget about trying to win the whole war right now. Just focus on stopping the bleeding.
Secure the basics: safety, housing, school consistency, and just enough money to get by. And how you frame your request to the court is, well, it's everything. Just look at the difference here. The unhelpful approach is just pure emotion, it's labels. The stability-focused one is calm, it's child-centered, and it actually proposes a solution. Which one do you think a busy judge is going to listen to? You can structure basically any request you make using this simple 3-part model. It's a game changer. First, you describe the factual pattern of behavior, not feelings, facts. Second, you explain the direct impact this has on the child. And third, you propose a narrow, temporary fix for that one problem. This shows the judge you're a problem solver, not just a flamethrower. And honestly, your best evidence is often the most boring evidence. A simple, factual log like this, what was supposed to happen, what actually happened, and how the child reacted, this is incredibly powerful. It tells the story for you without you having to add any angry commentary at all. This discipline has to extend to all of your communication. You have to avoid the accusations. Instead, use a method called BIF. It stands for brief, informative, friendly, and firm. You state the fact, you state the consequence, and you point back to the court order. It protects you, and it shows the court that you're the reasonable one in the room. So in the end, how you get through this really comes down to a choice. So let's wrap this up with a quick self-audit. Just a few questions to help you get clear on your own approach and your real motivations. First, a motivation check. And be really honest with yourself here. If you took all the anger, all the hurt, all the desire for revenge completely out of the equation, what structure would you still, truly, believe your child needs to be safe and stable right now? Next up, a tone check. I want you to imagine a judge, a total stranger, reading your texts and emails from the past 7 days. What would they think? Would they see a problem solver trying to make things work? Or would they see a flamethrower just adding fuel to the fire? And finally, an evidence check. Are you operating from a place of specific, documented facts that you can clearly explain? Or are you mostly just using general labels like he's abusive or she's unstable without having the data to actually back it up? And this brings us to the last question, which is really the ultimate gut check. Imagine the order that you were asking the court to make was accidentally applied to you instead. Would it feel like a reasonable, necessary safety measure, or would it feel like a punishment? Your honest answer to that question tells you everything you need to know about whether you're trying to apply a Band-Aid or you're wielding a bludgeon.